The Jazz lose to the Nuggets, but they kept it close most of the game. Lots of things to be happy about the Jazz. Let's talk about it. It's the Hoops Nerd Show. All right, guys, normally we would do, you know what? Let's just do it tonight. Let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com, use promo code HoopsNerd. They will match up to $100. That's free money. If you're going to, if you're picking the Jazz, you can just pick the under on this. You will most likely do really well. I'm setting this because it's a promotion on here. It's a bad end of the season for the Jazz. No one's watching this anyway. But anyways, go to prizepicks.com, use promo code HoopsNerd. They will match up to $100. It supports the channel. I would appreciate it. All right, guys. I was going to not do the read, and then I just got thrown off. And it's almost like I have to do the read so I don't get thrown off. But anyways, let's talk about this game. The Utah Jazz lost to the Denver Nuggets like they wanted to do, but there was a lot of reasons to be happy about this one. Utah kept this one close. It was within 3 with like 6 minutes left. And then Jamal Murray at one point went on like his own 9-0 run against Utah, and it was pretty much over. Jamal Murray just is so awesome next to Nikola Jokic. Those two are going to be great, and I have a hard time not seeing them going to the Western Conference Finals and likely the finals and probably winning it all. They're so good. They're a machine. They just know how to score. They can score when things get tough. They can score when things are easy. And they can defend too. So this Nuggets team is really, really good. It's going to be hard for anyone to beat them. But guess what? The Utah Jazz were pretty close today with all their young players and G League players playing. So it was kind of a nice game for the Jazz. Now, Luka Samanic played, and I know there was some quote from Will Hardy, which honestly was a little weird to me that they weren't giving him hook shots. Because I tell you what, he was 6 for 15 from the field in this one. I guess 40% isn't that bad. But he was putrid. He was 0 for 4 to start the game. Just not good. He was really bad. And some of the things he does on the floor just make me want to claw my eyes out. It was not very good. But you know what? It helps the Jazz lose games, which gets them closer to a pick in this draft that they really want. By the way, they are now 2 picks up on Brooklyn, who's 5-5 in their last 10. Sad news for Utah is that Memphis lost tonight. It was a chance there. There was a little bit of a chance that the Jazz might catch them. They would have been within 1, and then they don't. So that is a bummer. Utah could have jumped to 7. Makes it tough for them to get any higher at this point. With the Jazz have just 3 games left, so they are going to try to lose all 3. See what they can do. We'll see what Memphis does. In fact, how many games does Memphis have left? Memphis. Let's see. So the Jazz are 29-50. Looks like Memphis might have 3 or 4 games left. Maybe they get lucky and win a couple. I don't know. Maybe there's a shot. Who knows? You're saying there's a chance, right? Taylor Hendricks, if you look at the numbers, they weren't that great, and he only played 21 minutes. I think part of that was because he had a fall. I don't know if he kind of tweaked his ankle at one point, but he went down, and I wonder if the Jazz were just being careful with him. But he had some nice moments in this one. This block shot was nice. Some rebounds. He was only a minus, of all the starters, he had the best plus minus. He had his 1-3 that he made. It was the one shot he made in the game. It was nice. It was the first time I've seen him just comfortably, Keyonte George passed it out to him. The Denver Nugget player goes out to, and it was a corner 3, goes out to contest the shot. And Hendricks just calmly sidestepped and knocked it down. And that's like a small thing, but I think it's the first time I've watched him do that. I could be wrong. But what was nice about that was just how comfortably he did that and how comfortably he's shooting threes right now. He is over 50% from 3 now in his last 6 games. I guess he's right at 50% in this one, but 50% or better in his last 6. So that shot is absolutely starting to fall for him. And I know there's a lot of Jazz fans out there that are probably just not watching the games at this point because they know the Jazz are trying to lose. But you know what? You're missing out on a few things here and there, just little moments that are nice to see, that it'll be fun to watch the development of players as they go. They still have 3 games left. That's 3 chances to develop their players, find some grooves and do some nice things. Omar Yurtseven in the playback today. By the way, if you haven't gone to the playback, the SLC Dunk playback channel, it's great. It's a lot of fun. Tonight was me and Clint just talking during the game, and you can go and watch with us. It's really fun. We were talking a little bit about Yurtseven at the beginning, how poorly he was playing, but the numbers look pretty good. I think it's the defense that was frustrating and some turnovers. Look at that. 3 turnovers in that first quarter. The Jazz have, let's see. Yep, 3. It was tough for the Jazz in the first quarter. They just, it's just one of the things where you've got some of these G League, not really NBA level players playing along with rookies who are just figuring things out. It's just a tough combo, and it's the reason why the Jazz are losing a lot of games. Yurtseven wasn't really great in the first quarter, but overall he had a pretty nice game, and it got better as time went on. He ends 9 for 14 from the field, 11 rebounds. Nice big to have on your roster, to be honest. He's not going to be anyone that gets a starting role on any good team, but he can certainly be a potential backup or at least a third big. If he's your third big, which the Jazz have him, you're actually pretty happy with that. Johnny Juzang, the shooting numbers weren't all that great tonight, but he continues to show me that he is definitely got potential to be an NBA player. I thought his defense was actually pretty decent. He stays in front of his man. Now, he doesn't block shots, and he doesn't really make the shot hard on guys, but he definitely stays in front, and he tries. And he'll have nights where he just shoots the lights out, like last game where he was 7 for 8. Tonight he was just 1 for 4 and 2 for 8 from the field. He had a few rough moments, but you know what? I like what we're seeing from Johnny Juzang, and I'm happy that they gave him this start. Look, they had him at shooting guard, and we saw a little bit of what he can do. He just needs to get better, but he's only a second-year player, and I think the Jazz have something there with him that they can build on. I like Johnny Juzang. He can absolutely shoot the ball. In fact, what is his shooting percentage now for the season? In year 2, it definitely went down tonight because he doesn't have a ton of attempts, but 38.8%. I think he was at 39 or 40 last game when he went 7 for 8. So just nice to see that he's showing what he can do, and one of the things he can do is shoot the ball. Keyonte had an interesting night. He had a good 3-point. It was kind of the story for each of the rookies, like a good start and then kind of fizzled out a little bit. But 4 for 11 from the field. What's interesting is he was 2 for 2 from 2-point range. When he drives into the lane, good things happen. This was, the vast majority of his shots were threes, and they're just not quite falling for him yet. That slump he is in is pretty rough. But he did some nice things. Yes, the turnovers were rough, but this comes from starting and playing the focal point of the offense. But he did have 5 assists. It's interesting that those turnovers are up because, the first half and first 3/4 of the season, the turnovers were so low for him. But since he's been taking the reins with this team post-trade deadline, with all the Jazz veterans resting, it has been a trial by fire, and it's been a struggle for him. But that's what it takes. These rookies have to learn. And this will help him in the long run. He will appreciate winning more in the future than I think you would have otherwise. You look at someone like Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell's never been on a losing team, and so he just kind of expects the team to win that he's on. Like with that quote he had with the Cavaliers. Yes, I'm going to badmouth Donovan Mitchell right now because I don't care. The Cavaliers are a paper tiger, but these losses for Keyonte George, he's going to appreciate winning more in the future, or at least you'll find out the character of him, and I think the character is really high. But for Donovan Mitchell, he gives that rumor that behind the scenes he's telling people, if we don't win the finals, I'm out of Cleveland. Well, that's not great for a Cleveland team entering the playoffs. Where have I seen that before, where Donovan Mitchell's quietly wanting trades behind the scenes right before the playoffs starts? Where have I seen that before? Where is that? Does that ring a bell with anyone here? Certainly rings a bell with me. But, I think the moral of this is that this is giving Keyonte George, Taylor Hendricks, Bryce Sensabaugh, they're all getting a chance to really play through their mistakes and learn and grow. And it's really valuable stuff. 30 minutes for Key in a night where he had 5 turnovers. I felt like he controlled the offense pretty well. There were some bad turnovers there, but that's going to improve with time. And so that's all he needs. I really like Darius Bazley. I like that guy. Takes 5 shots. He knocked down 2 of his 2s. He was 4 for 4 from the free throw line with 5 rebounds. The guy's just an athlete, and he can do some nice things. I'm kind of happy he's on the Jazz. I believe him and Kenny Lofton got those 3-year deals with the Jazz, although I think they're non-guaranteed the last 2 seasons. But I'm happy because I think he shows that he's got some things. I think we looked it up on the playback. I think he was the number 23 pick for the Oklahoma City Thunder in 2019. So he's there's a pedigree there. Maybe he can kind of develop into something. And if not, it's not a big deal. This Jazz team is probably not worried about. We know for sure they're not worried about winning games now. And I kind of have a feeling next year they're not worried about winning games either. In fact, they're probably very interested in not winning games next season. Bryce Sensabaugh, kind of a similar story to Keyonte George in this one. He hit some shots to begin. He was 2 for 2 to start the game and then promptly missed 7. But that shot looks nice, and there's some things he does that are really interesting. I mean, he 5 rebounds and 2 assists. We talked about it, me and Clint, on the playback. His assists are impressive. His ability to pass the ball. He finds guys in a nice way. And I think some of these numbers, when you just watch really closely, some of this really is related to the talent around them, especially with THT on the floor kind of taking all these possessions. But he has all the signs of something really nice, and I hope the Jazz just decide to give all the minutes next season to the rookies, both the rookies this year and then next year's rookies. They'll have at worst 3 of them. They may try to trade up or something like that, and maybe they only come away with 1 or 2. But I hope however many rookies they get in this upcoming draft, they all get to play as well. So I hope the Jazz just go extremely young. Let these players continue to grow. Let them develop. It's okay. It's okay to be bad because you're learning from those mistakes. And Will Hardy definitely is one of those coaches that just kind of loses his mind at some of the mistakes. And what that does is it just forces these players to understand this is how I've got to play and what I got to do. And I hope the Jazz win 12 to 14 games next year. I hope that's it. Because, you add some talent to these 3 rookies, and I think you're going to see something really nice. And if they get someone nice in the draft in this one, all of a sudden you're filling that team with talent. We'll see what happens with Lauri Markkanen. It's going to be an absolutely fascinating thing this offseason what the Jazz do because there's so many directions they could go. But I think the very clear direction they need to is to lose a lot of games next year and do this tank correctly. They have the opportunity now. They've made all the deals they can. They still have a few deals left. Colin Sexton missed tonight, which was actually a bummer because he had a goal of playing all 82 games, and so he misses game 79 or whatever this is. So that was a real bummer for him, but he's played really nice, and I wouldn't be surprised if he, there's a lot of teams that call the Jazz about him, and, there's going to be teams that will probably be interested in getting Jordan Clarkson. It's probably not going to get the Jazz a lot of capital in return, but you never know. Maybe Utah gets something. Anyways, Talen Horton-Tucker, we spoke about him. His style of play is not conducive to winning, but he did have his best game of the season. And I do think he deserves some credit because the Jazz were close in this one. And I do think he does do some things defensively that make him really nice. But 43% from the field, but he was 4 for 8 from 3. He had 24 points. 3 rebounds and 2 assists. At one point, he was leading the team in plus minus, but he was on the floor when the Nuggets pulled away late, and so that obviously changed this. But Talen Horton-Tucker, I don't think he's going to be on the Jazz next year. I wish him the best. I do. It's just so chaotic. I personally can't handle it. It's not my favorite thing, and I just wish him well. There's some moments he has where he just shows you these tantalizing little things, and he's got that crazy wingspan. He's got a nice first step and all this different stuff, but then he just will absolutely do something that blows it up. I mean, he had 4 turnovers in this one, and they're all of them just really rough. Really rough. And so anyways, I'm happy that Talen Horton-Tucker had a nice game. I'm also happy the Jazz lost, and I think that's all I got to say about THT. I really wish Jason Preston would get the THT minutes because every time he's on the floor, nice things happen. He only got to play 6 minutes in this one, and I know the stat line's not quite there, but he was a +8. When he's on the floor, he just makes nice, smart decisions, and I really like him, and I think he's got potential to be something pretty interesting. And so I'm glad he's on I think he's on 2-way contract. Sorry, guys. But I think he's a really interesting player that can do some really nice things for this Jazz team, and I hope we see more of him next year. I was bummed we didn't get to see Kenneth Lofton Jr. I want to see some Kenneth Lofton Jr. These last 3 games are going to be pretty wild, guys. They're going to be kind of crazy. The Jazz are trying to lose, so there's not, when the rookies play well, we're definitely going to celebrate it and talk about it. But I think that's all we got for tonight. It's a shorter show tonight, but that's okay. If you didn't watch the playback, you can join me and Clint next time, and it's a lot of fun. I'll try to simulcast it. I don't think it's simulcast tonight. I was kind of curious to see how it would, and it did not. But all right, let's do our tankathon. The Jazz are still 2 games back of Brooklyn, so they just don't really have enough time to catch up. But I think that's the ceiling of where they're going to go. It would be so fun to see the Jazz win the lottery, though. I think that would be so funny. Because if the Jazz win the lottery, it knocks Toronto out of the top 6, which makes them lose their pick. It would be hilarious. Anyways, oh, and I forgot to pull it up. Of course I forgot. Let's see here. We got to pull up the music. We can't not. All right, guys. So, if the Utah Jazz, if the lottery was today, what would happen with the Jazz? Let's find out. Let's see. Let's hope we jump. Let's pretend for reals. This is it. It's lottery night. They're pulling out the ping pong balls. What happens? Oh, Utah stays at 8. Portland jumps to number 1. Look at that. San Antonio gets the number 2 pick. Holy smokes. Toronto can unclench their sphincters because they keep their pick. If it drops to 7, they lose it. And obviously Utah stays at 8, which according to Tankathon gets them Jacoby Walter. Look at Donovan Clingan going to 7. Stephon Castle at 6. Some people have him at 3. I'm really bummed because I wanted him on the Jazz so bad. But the Jazz could get Cody Williams. I kind of hope that's who they pick if they have the chance. Although they have Dink Pate, who's out now eligible, maybe the Jazz take a chance. It'd be nice to find out what the Jazz do there. I would be interested to see. He's the youngest pro ever. He's 17 years old. He was on the G League Ignite. Yes, the numbers don't look good, but if you go watch the film, you can see the makings of an NBA player there. And I kind of think, you know what? Wouldn't mind picking that guy. Because I think he was slated to go top 10 next year in an extremely good draft. So maybe just get him young now before he shows out next year, right? But basically what's going on is the NBA, he was under contract for 2 years with the G League Ignite, but the G League Ignite just got dissolved, and he is petitioning for the NBA to let him join this draft since the G League Ignite doesn't exist anymore. I hope they do, because I kind of have a feeling the Jazz should draft that guy. All right, let's give a shout out to our All-Stars tonight. Thank you so much, guys, for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. Let's give a shout out to Ryan Perry, the legend, Nathan Butnett Burkhart, Fly Eagles Fly, Platinum Eagles, The Real Deal, Lars Jarvin, and Just Buckets JB, Baby Elliott Matson, Christian House Money the Haas, The Outlaw Jesse James Nelson, Ezekiel Recibe, the man from down under. See ya, Lexa Later, Built Ford Tough, Alexander Tufts, Jorge Arrizaga, Mimigo de Abajo, Jordan the Goat Best Roll, TGD, Total Game Domination, Tyson Price, The Price is Right, Austin R. Grant, Editor Extraordinaire, KG10 to TH5, Patrick Akubo, the Connoisseur, and Robert Hall of Fame. Guys, if you haven't already, like and subscribe to the channel, and go to playback.com/SLCdunk and join. It's a lot of fun. You can watch with me live. I've had fun with the guys there, Tyrone and Dre and all those guys. It's been fun. And Tim, I think it was. Guys, absolutely a blast having you on that channel, and fun to talk to you here. I will talk to you next time.